Ahoy! Kevin here, showcasing 4 unique working lighthouse designs that are very simple and compact to make. Later in the video is a tutorial on how to make your very own lighthouses with rotating light with no headaches involved. If you're extra ambitious, I'll also be showing a circuit you can install in your lighthouse which will automatically turn it on at night and off during the day. If any of this confuses you, if you want to take a closer look and just pause, I actually have a world save download link in the description. So go there, check it out, and check out the lighthouses for yourself. But let's start with the simplest of the 4 lighthouses. If you've seen my undetectable player sensor video, you'll basically have all the know-how you need to build this. Pistons fire up in a rotating pattern determined by a compact looping minecart track below them. So this lever is used to turn everything on and off, and that's by powering the powered track in this corner. All these tracks in the middle have detector rails, and those activate the pistons above. And so if that powered rail is activated, then the cart will rotate, but if it's deactivated by turning the torch below it off, the cart will rest in that corner and everything is ready to go to be turned off again later. So going up here, see that torch is off, which means the cart stops there perfectly. So this is actually a use for that detector rail setup, and it's actually partly how I figured out that detector rail setup, but doesn't use it for detection at all. So here it is, it's turned off. With the lava setup, the downside is when it's turned off, the lava's down, so the light itself is on, it just doesn't rotate around. But glowstone will work. So let's look at the lighthouse which uses glowstone. And here you see that pistons, powered by the same sort of rotating track, fire up, revealing glowstone, and gravel's put on top to fall on top of the glowstone to make it dark. And you see, because it has the gravel there blocking the light, you get a very cool, illuminated, animated lighting show for the lighthouse itself. That is really cool to see from the distance especially. It looks like a real lighthouse. But inside, oh, it's a bit dark. Torches. Creative. There's too many options. Oh, there. Sorry. Okay. Here you see, left is off, right is on, and here instead of using just a column of torches to send the signal up, I use a column of sand with a piston pushing it up. So that powered redstone feeds into that sand, and the repeater draws the power out. Powers that torch, and that torch powers or depowers the minecart track. So here you can see it's on, and again you could switch it off. This design I like to add a little rail on because certain lighthouses have rails around the light, and I also added glass. But you might be better off without glass, especially with the default Minecraft texture pack, because it's very bright looking and hides the glowstone. But if you want to show the glowstone, do the double stacker. This is the more complex lighthouse, and it uses 2 stacks of glowstone, one from below, one from above, to make it very visible. And stop walking on water, sheep. You ain't Jesus. God, blasphemy. Okay, if we go in here, you see that this one has a nice little place to sleep, like a lighthouse should be, I guess. You press a button that puts an object on a pressure plate that activates the piston and fires the signal up again. This time it's needed. This upward signal is needed because it's going to go up again, and power's feeding into it to fire a second piston up. And all the circuitry here is mostly the same. I'll show you all the circuitry in easier to see form a little bit later. But basically the reason why you need to fire the signal up through the gravel is so you can get the signal from below to above the light in the lighthouse. So let's go up here, let's take a look. You actually hide that the signal's even on or off. So here's the skeleton. This is all the necessary circuitry. And I try to color code things to separate the different components so you know what's going on. Purple is input components inputting into the track. Yellow is blocks and torches connected to it that are constantly powered. And cyan blue is for circuitry relating to the upward firing of the signal and how that's sent. So all the timing for any of these redstone repeaters, except for that one at the bottom, is at 1 tick. That one at the bottom is 4 ticks. But here you see the power feeds into the block, which goes into the input. That torch activates this redstone, which activates the torch below it, which activates that powered rail. And the nice thing about this setup is none of the corners are occupied by redstone, which means it can fit very nicely into the roof over here. Apparently I say roof wrong. Roof, I don't know how. God. Okay, well, the sun's coming up. It's beautiful. These custom shaders make things awesome. Jesus Sheep is doing all right. But, whoa, this lighthouse is turned off. It was just running just a second ago. This is activated and deactivated by a little sensor at the base of the lighthouse, which I'll show in a moment. But this is my experimental lighthouse. The detector rails have torches at the side to invert the signal, and they power blocks above, which power the pistons. And those blocks then have repeaters going from them into the corners to kind of create a little AND gate setup. But basically, the corner pistons average out the signal from the pistons adjacent, so you have a larger rotating light, if that makes any sense. And in this particular one, when it's off, the pistons are all firing. And what's with that wanky door? Nothing works in my videos. Okay, this is the light sensor. This is based off a design by Brows of Steel, which plays off a light sensor design by Ethos Light Sensor. But in any case, you should check out Brows of Steel's channel because he has a lot of very cool inventions as well. So if you like my stuff, you'll probably like his stuff. But it basically, mine is the same except for some modifications to 1, allow a manual switch, which is done by that lever. I just use it to turn the lighthouse on. And that block that pops up and down allows the signal from the sensor to be sent to the top rather than the side, which it is originally done in the sensor. And I'll show you how to build my slightly modified version of that in a jiffy, just in a moment. Okay. Close the stupid door. Okay. Right over here is all of our circuitry. I forgot one thing. Here's an alternate way to do the top part of the circuitry for the double stacker. It's a lot simpler, but it does go into that corner, and the timing is slightly different. So you need to take this repeater and replace it with a redstone. Let me just show you. Oh, there's so many sheep. They just collect down here because they're just oohed and awed by the circuitry. It's not that complex, sheep. Alright. Returning this back. Actually, here, I'll just show you timing. Imagine that piston were the very bottom one in your lighthouse. So everything is turned off. Delightful. Get out of my way, sheep! Okay, you can see that the carts are perfectly, well, nearly perfectly aligned. So all the glowstone fires at the same time. But anyway, here's the light sensor. Again, things are color-coded. The purple part is what is the setup for a bud switch, which means anything that touches this piston right here will cause it to activate. And by touching, actually, I mean any sort of update in a block touch it. And that includes a dirt block growing grass. Growing glass. Dirt block, when it grows the glass, then it'll activate the bud switch, which activates this purple circuit, which is cool. Then this blue circuit is a T flip-flop, which basically means when the bud activates, it will switch this block from the left to the right or from the right to the left each time it activates. So I'm going to activate it by just changing a block there from nothing to a sand block. And it switches to the right. When it switches to the right, it activates that right piston, which pushes the sand all the way up, allowing things to be powered. And the left one turns it on and off. Left side turns on and off that left piston, which will block water flow or allow water flow for the sensor. And basically how it works is when you have dirt and there's grass adjacent and there is sunlight or a light level above 9, then the grass can spread to it as long as there isn't water on it. But if there is water on it and moonlight hits it and it's dark, well, which would happen if there's moonlight hitting it, then the grass will die. So those are the two different situations, and basically the sensor switches between one and the other to trigger daytime, knowing whether it's daytime or nighttime. But right above you see it's very simple. Torches feeding power into that sand block once it reaches the top. This lever then is another input for the manual setup, and that's just a piston moving a block next to your bud piston, your detecting piston, to activate it, to manually activate it. Everything here, the only things that are necessary are the the glass blocks being where they are, and the dirt blocks with grass being where they are for optimal conditions. Anything that was wool or the iron blocks, I use iron because they're conducting electricity, I like to think. Any of the wool there is replaceable. But like as a final thing, my last video I released, that undetectable player sensor, since releasing that, my YouTube subscribers doubled. And I'm getting up to 500, and I'm really thankful for you guys. It's really encouraging. I don't like to beg for subscribers, so I'm glad I've earned your trust and interest. So look forward to showing more cool things in the future.